Long before Starbucks, there was Fred Harvey. Before Howard Johnson, Fred Harvey had revolutionized fine dining in the Wild West. And long before Conrad Hilton even took his first steps, Fred Harvey had a chain of hotels and restaurants that traversed the United States.
I didn't feel like that I was just a waitress. I felt like more of an ambassador for Fred Harvey. You could see our skirts, how beautiful they were, and our blouses and everything. And that's what Fred Harvey wanted, everything to be perfect.
And while Fred may have died in 1901, the history around his legacy is just as strong as ever. In fact, for the past 15 years, authors, historians, documentarians, preservationists, entrepreneurs, artists, collectors, trainiacs, Harvey girls, and FredHeads have gathered in Santa Fe to explore the legacy of one of America's first great entrepreneurs, Fred Harvey, his hospitality empire along the Santa Fe Railway, and the diverse labor force that was at the forefront of change.
And part of the reason that the Fred Harvey system became so brilliant at predicting the needs of consumers and the needs of their employees is because they had to do so much to predict the needs of their owner.
In the spring of 2010, Stephen Fried's Appetite for America captivated readers and reintroduced Fred Harvey to the public. The Appetite for America book tour was done by train, of course, from Chicago to Los Angeles, and it created opportunities for connection between the varied groups that had been keeping the stories and history alive locally.
These are some Harveys coming out of the train.
On the wave of the book's success, two strong women, Frances Levine of the newly opened New Mexico History Museum and Jenny Kimball of La Fonda on the Plaza, one of the original Fred Harvey hotels, produced two sold-out events in Santa Fe that captivated a new audience. The following spring, the partial restoration of La Fonda by architect Barbara Felix to Mary Coulter's original interior designs propelled the creation of a Mary Coulter Weekend to celebrate this maverick and controversial American woman, one of the first female executives and architects. La Fonda wasn't the only Fred Harvey hotel to undergo restoration. Mary Coulter's masterpiece, La Posada in Winslow, Arizona, had been saved by a courageous couple, Alan Affeldt and Tina Mion, and their friend Dan Lutzik, who were turning it into one of the most successful historic renovation projects. The Coulter events in 2011, for the first time, drew together Fred Harvey and Mary Coulter enthusiasts from different parts of New Mexico and beyond. It was a catalyst for making connections between Santa Fe railway towns that would endure to the present. Documentarian Katrina Parks had been filming interviews with Harvey girls since 1999.
This is the Harvey Girls room that we show.
Starting in 2011, she interviewed several Harvey family members, occasionally accompanied by Stephen Fried.
Let's talk first about your earliest memories of the company.
I remember lifting the shade on the Pullman and seeing my first mesa. I don't know if I'd ever seen a mountain before.
In October 2012, while celebrating their anniversary in New Mexico, Black Bart, aka author Diane Ayers, and Stephen Fried made time for what he thought might be his last Fred Harvey talk, now that the book was out in paperback. However, in June of 2013, the slowly uniting world of Harvey fans and family met again in Kansas City, where the National Archives opened its new museum show, Fred Harvey, the Man, the Brand, and the American West, curated by Dee Harris. The archives also hosted the world premiere of the documentary The Harvey Girls, Opportunity Bound, in their sold-out auditorium.
Like a lot of independent films, Opportunity Bound was a labor of love that ended up taking 7 years to complete. But Christina clearly recalls the moment when she first knew she was hooked.
We went on this tour of the Boleyn Harvey House Museum, and that's when I was introduced to the fact that 100,000 women had left home over the course of many years, starting the 1880s. I was just sort of instantly captivated by it.
FredHeads and Harvey family members came from far and wide to participate in the events in Kansas City, and in Fred's nearby hometown of Leavenworth. In the coming months, showings of the film and panel discussions led to many Harvey events. All the while, new former Harvey girls were popping out of the woodwork. When the New Mexico History Museum hired a new 19th and 20th century curator, Meredith Schweitzer, her first assignment was to create a Fred Harvey exhibit. One major interest of the growing group of Harvey fans was the preservation of the remaining Harvey Santa Fe Railway hotel buildings, and 2014 would be a most important year. Jenny Kimball and her partners bought the La Fonda and began to do more Coulter-inspired renovations. In addition, in February 2014, the Winslow Arts Trust bought the Castañeda, which was at risk, along with the Plaza Hotel in Las Vegas, New Mexico. Starting the next fall, Las Vegas became a place where FredHeads flocked after visiting Santa Fe. That year, a panel discussion included a rare public speaking appearance by Steve Wimmer, La Fonda's beloved chief concierge and one of the founding forces of the Fred Harvey Weekends. With interest in the Castañeda project abounding, the Las Vegas Harvey Girls, founded by Kathy Hendrickson, began to offer tours of that building and the restored Montezuma Hotel, now the United World College, nearby. The first ever long-term museum exhibit in the country devoted to Fred Harvey, Mary Coulter, the Harvey Girls, and the ATSF premiered at the New Mexico History Museum. Called Setting the Standard, the Fred Harvey Company and Its Legacy, the exhibit features many pieces from Danielle Gentry Peterson, drawn from the collection of her late father, well-known Harvey collector Skip Gentry, and many other pieces sourced from the Harvey family and museum collections around the country. The exhibit and public programs welcomed diverse and new audiences to the museum. It was clear the public was thirsty for Southwest and 19th and 20th century history. In the winter of 2015, a panel about preserving historic hotels featuring Alan, Jenny, and Barbara drew so many people there were lines around the block. It was so popular, it sold out twice the same day. The online FredHead community was also expanding. Kathy Weir's Mary Coulter fan club was reaching new heights.
When I reached 500 fans, I thought that was the pinnacle.
Heather Paxton, a researcher for Appetite for America, took on a new mission and created the Harvey Girl Descendants Facebook page.
There's a sense of community.
In 2016, audiences headed to the Heard Museum in Phoenix, home of the Harvey Family Art Collection, for a new exhibit shedding light on relationships between the Fred Harvey Company, Native Americans, and the railroad, especially at the Grand Canyon. The exhibit furthered research of Heard curators and Harvey experts Diana Pardue and Kathleen Howard. As the years passed, plays were produced, more books were published, more exhibits opened, more Harvey experts shared their expertise, more renovations were completed, more art was purchased, more local economies were stimulated. Then a Tucson company, H.F. Coors, released a new production of Membrano China, Mary Coulter's signature pattern for the Fred Harvey Company. In 2017, when an annual foodie dinner and auction were also added to the Fred Harvey Weekend to benefit the New Mexico History Museum, H.F. Coors partnered with Bronzesmith Foundry's Ed Riley on the Coulter Membrano letter opener, and then Bronzesmith started making pieces drawing from Coulter's whimsical sensibility. As always, just the right amount of food and wine were consumed. In 2018, CBS Sunday Morning took notice as the Castañeda was preparing to reopen.
Last fall, a cheer went up as a grand hotel from a bygone era got a little closer to opening its doors.
Just as in Fred Harvey's day, America has faced some serious challenges. A global pandemic impacted the remaining Harvey hotels and restaurants. At the last minute, the 2020 Fred Harvey Weekend was forced to go virtual, with people joining lectures on Zoom from all over the world. The only Harvey Weekend event done live was one foodie dinner, auctioned to supporters of the museum.
We decided that the COVID-safe way to serve food during this time is to flame everything.
Servers tonight, by the way, are Jenny Kimball, chairman of the board of La Fonda, and Jamie Clements, the president and CEO of the Museum Foundation of New Mexico.
Servers, would you clear the dessert plates remote? Okay.
And the teacher
But Fred Harvey's culinary revolution was marked by innovation.
Well, I want to thank you. I think this has been a brilliant solution to the problem that we had.
By 2022, the weekends were back full force with the largest crowds for the dinner and lectures ever. With amazing community support, the Fred Harvey Weekends have weathered challenges and continue to expand, largely because of the power of FredHeads coming together. Now that we understand the birth of the FredHead movement and its subsequent evolution, there's still one key piece of missing information: when and who coined the term FredHead.
When I started using the word FredHead, kind of as a joke, I used it once in the book and used to use it on my blog. It occurred to me that maybe that was a word I had made up. And then after we made FredHead t-shirts, I was up on eBay one day and saw that somebody who had worked at the Grand Canyon in the 1990s had a FredHead t-shirt from the 1990s. And then I realized that from the time of the Grateful Dead in the 1970s, people at Grand Canyon who were beloved Fred Harvey people called themselves FredHead. So didn't invent the word, but we certainly brought it back into use, and it's a fun word.
The Fred Harvey Weekends have grown organically and have surprised us all along the way. Most rewarding has been seeing how the community has embraced this history and one another. And for that, we thank each and every one of you, whether you're a seasoned FredHead or Fred Curious. As we look to the future, we still have so much to learn, explore, appreciate, and eat with the help of the living history of Fred Harvey. We hope you'll continue to join us on this amazing Southwest detour.